moving from a sedentary to a physically active societal way of life. This is Up on Our Feet.
Welcome to Up on Our Feet. It's been stated many, many times on Up on Our Feet that physical activity enhances cognition, how the brain works. And several of our episodes have been about how this leads to increases in academic performance for school children. Basically, the more physically active students are, the better their brains work and the higher their academic performance. So we thought it would be good to present a real-life example of how this actually happens with kids. What exactly do the students experience physically that leads to their enhanced academic performance? And this example is quite unique, as you're about to learn. For this, we turned to a study that was conducted and then recently published about how young children increase their vocabulary of an international or foreign language through a process called physically active learning. Simply put, the students are engaged in academic learning while being physically active. One of the co-authors of this study is Professor Carlos Martínez of King Juan Carlos University in Madrid. Professor Martínez is in the university's Department of Physiotherapy, Occupational Therapy, Rehabilitation, and Physical Medicine in the area of physical and sports education. His research focuses on physical activity, sedentarism, fitness, cognition, and the association between neuroscience and education. Professor Martínez, it's nice to have you with us.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to do this interview.
Sure. Okay.
Thanks.
Sure. Okay, to begin, what was the purpose of your study? What were you seeking to find out?
Okay, basically, as you say, our objective was to analyze the effects of the different physical activity intensities during active learning in children on cognitive performance and physical fitness. And we did this study in preschool children.
Okay, and how old were these kids?
These kids were from 3 to 6 years old.
Okay. All right, so you had the students involved, and this was in a school situation. Obviously, you had to have teachers involved as well, yes?
Yes. Basically, at the beginning, the idea was to recruit different schools in the community of Madrid, but due to feasibility reasons, we only recruited one school, and the study was only done in one school. As you said, different teachers from these schools were included, and we had 4 classrooms with 99 children in total.
Okay. And so then with these 99 children in total, you had, I assume, both an intervention group and control group. So were the 99 children in both groups, with each group maybe, 50 kids each? Is that how this was done?
It was a cluster randomized control trial. So we divided the children in 3 different groups: control group, light physical activity, and moderate to vigorous physical activity, where they perform physical activity at more intensity level.
Okay. And so then there were about, 50 kids in each group, the control group and the intervention group?
There were 48 children in the control group, 26 in light physical activity, and 25 in the moderate to vigorous physical activity group.
Okay. All right, then, how was the study carried out? What were the methods? What exactly did the teachers do? And what did the students do?
Okay. In the control group, the children just continued with their traditional sedentary English lessons where they learned different vocabulary. Most of the vocabulary in preschool is related to animals, for example. They learned in the study, we said exactly the words that they learned. I remember bird, plane, different words. And they didn't do any actions while they were learning the words. In the light physical activity group, the kids were in the classroom, in the normal classroom, and they performed some actions while learning the same words. For example, for the word bird, they were moving their hands and walking around the class. And to monitor the physical activity, we had the accelerometers where to control the physical activity levels. And in the last group, moderate to vigorous physical activity group, the children were doing more intense physical activity while learning the same words. For example, for the word bird, they were running around in the playground, and they had more intense exercise.
Okay, so the intervention or the control group kids, they were just basically sitting at their desks learning the vocabulary. And the intervention group, the experimental group, you had one group of kids in, I think you said light physical activity, and the other group in moderate to vigorous physical activity, correct?
Yeah, that's
Okay,
correct.
okay. And then the vigorous physical activity, these were the kids who were actually running around in obviously a very physically active way compared to the kids doing the light physical activity where they're just, if it's a bird, they're just moving their arms up and down. Is that what you said? Is that correct?
Exactly, that's correct.
Okay, all right. So how long did your study go, and what were the rates of implementation each week or each month?
The study lasted 10 weeks, 10 weeks in total. And the children did these lessons for it was twice a week, 2 times a week
Okay,
during
so
the
go ahead.
English lesson where they will always they will normally have English lesson in the normal schedule.
Mhm. And so was this, how many days a week were they doing this, and how much time each day?
2 days a week, 45 minutes for 45 minutes each lesson.
Okay, and so these are Spanish-speaking children learning English, correct?
Exactly.
Oh,
Yes.
okay,
They were learning English vocabulary.
okay. All right, and now for the big question, and that is, what were the results of your study?
Okay. Basically, in the study, we assessed this vocabulary. Obviously, they were testing the vocabulary, but they also have a cognitive test in which it was the Benzi battery called, and the children did it on the iPads. And also we also tested the physical fitness of the children. We tested cardiorespiratory fitness, speed, agility, strength, and also the anthropometrical measurements of the children. And we found out that the children improve all their cognitive performance. For example, the vocabulary, obviously, in both they had a free recall test and acute recall test. And in the Benzi battery in the iPads for the cognitive performance, they improve verbal memory, verbal fluency, and And also for the physical fitness, they improve speed, agility, and cardiorespiratory fitness compared to the other groups, control and light physical activity.
Okay.
The group that improved the most was the vigorous physical activity.
So the more vigorous the physical activity, the greater the academic performance, the greater the growth in cognition, the greater the growth in their physical health. Yes?
Exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
that's correct. So also the children improved in physical fitness and also cognitive performance, doing the learning the same as the other kids. That they will just sit in and have their traditional sedentary lesson.
Okay. So then did you get any feedback with the students who are most physically active, performing the best with their learning the vocabulary, their cognition, their physical health, and then the light physical activity kids also improving, but not as much as the more vigorous. And then the control group, where the kids were just sedentary, they had the lowest academic performance and cognition and physical health growth. Did you get any feedback from the students and teachers about what they thought about this physically active way of learning, where they're not sitting at desks, they're moving around and learning in a physically active way?
Definitely. Well, we didn't do any Likert scale testing or anything with the preschool children, but obviously with preschool children, they were more engaged in the activity, and they will tell you that they absolutely love these lessons. The more intense the activity, the more they like it. The children that they were in the moderate, vigorous physical activity group, they enjoyed all the lessons and even the testing in which they do the cardiorespiratory fitness testing, the speed, agility, the strength. They enjoyed all the study.
Okay. And again, did the teacher say anything about what it was like to teach vocabulary in this way? Did you ask them that or no?
Well, yeah, we actually did, and I mean, the teachers they were offered this study, and they chose to whether to enter in the study with their class or not to do the study. I mean, it was optional. So I think that the children, that the teachers that they wanted to do the study, they liked more physical activities, so they wanted to do this study. So that's why they perform in these lessons.
Hmm. Okay. So the kids enjoyed it and they were engaged. The teachers enjoyed teaching this way. So, given the results of your study, and with the hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of similar studies demonstrating that physical activity not only improves cognition and physical health, it also improves academic performance, why do you think it is that, for the most part, schools worldwide continue to educate children in a basically sedentary manner, with students sitting at their desks for most of the learning day?
That's a great question. Thank you for asking me. I'm I completely agree with you. I think it's been always the traditional sedentary manner in which we teach children, even though all the study, all the research is telling us that we need to change the physical activity of the children, that increasing physical activity intensity maximize benefits in vocabulary, cognitive performance, academic, and also physical fitness. So I don't understand why we keep teaching children this way.
Yeah. So then, given this situation, doesn't this call into question whether or not those involved with education are doing what educated people are supposed to do, and that is to follow the science, to follow the research?
Yes, exactly. I completely agree. We we should always follow science and research.
Yeah. Okay, so then in this context, do you have any thoughts about this, about why educators are not following the scientific research and educating their students in a less sedentary and more physically active way? Why are they doing this?
I I really don't know, to be honest. I think it's always been like the tradition. I mean, it's always been like that, and I think in all the institutions it's difficult. The change is always difficult, and I think very few people try to make these changes. But I'm confident that little by little we will get more changes in schools, and we should continue with this research and prove that this increase in physical activity is working for the children, and as you said, also teachers and everyone, beneficial for everyone.
Okay, so do you have any thoughts about what it'll take to make this change, this transformation to a more physically active way of learning for school children worldwide? What has to happen for this change to take place?
I think that um, to start with, we could maybe try to get more people involved in it. I mean, try to encourage the people in the school, the children, I mean, the teachers, the teachers that are every day with the children in class. They should make this change. I mean, try to encourage them that is not gonna get them to work. To have more workload, and um, they will get these changes little by little.
Okay. All right. Final question. Over the course of your professional career, and with all the studies and projects you've done regarding the impact of physical activity on the brain and the association between neuroscience and education, in the big picture of things, what's the big message, the big takeaway, the major conclusion you've come to?
Well, I I think that that's the major conclusion that I've come to, that we've been talking about, that increasing physical activity in the schools will benefit children, teachers, and everyone else, and all the families. And also, as this study demonstrates, the physical activity intensity is also important, as it seems to maximize these benefits.
Okay. Professor Carlos Martín Martínez of King Juan Carlos University in Madrid, thanks for being with us on Up on Our Feet.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for giving us the opportunity to do the interview. Thank you.